Welcome to Motivation with Marissa. I'm Marissa Mitchell. Today's guest has gone through it all: the immigrant experience, difficulty in breaking into business, a divorce, a life-altering accident, and so much more. But through all the valleys, she has risen with perseverance and faith. Maria Mojica, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, I was reading your biography and it reads almost like a movie. I look at every turn like, wow, she overcame that and that and that. You are a fighter. So I think our viewers are certainly going to get a lot out of your story today. So thanks again for joining me.
Thank you.
I talked about your life being like a movie. I've done the opening credits, so I want to go back to the beginning. I understand you came to the U.S. as an immigrant at the age of 16.
Yes.
Take me back to once you arrived and what you experienced here on American soil.
Well, the first challenge was that I did not speak the language. And my father, a single dad of 5, came here because he wanted a better life for his family, better opportunities. And then he said, well, he wanted to make sure that we were able to communicate. So he enrolled me in the school of languages. I went there for 4 months, and it was intensive so that I could be able to go to DC public schools. Mm-hmm. So I immersed from that to DC public schools, and at that time, DC public schools did not offer ESOL
ASL.
Yeah, program for the immigrants, and therefore every homework was a challenge to try to understand it all. And sometimes the students would make fun of the Latinos at that time because we didn't speak the language.
And kids can be so cruel,
They
first
were.
of all. And you're just from Nicaragua, coming here, and then you talk about the language barrier that some still go to this day. But also you went through a bit of an identity crisis because it was largely black and white, and here you are somewhere in the middle trying to find your way. So how did you navigate those cultural waters?
Well, my family, what made it a little difficult was because we're not, some people may say, your typical family, your typical Latino family. My father, a well-known musician in Latin America, had traveled and had the opportunity to play with people like Dizzy Gillespie.
Wow.
Other jazz bands, and not just Latino music. So I couldn't really identify myself just with the Latino community. And I found that blacks, when I went to school here, it was majority blacks, and then they were very welcoming to us. And then the Latinos, it was a very small group then, and they kind of stuck together. And I didn't see myself just being there. I wanted to experience the whole cultural atmosphere that was here. And then from that, I started learning more and more and more. And then I enrolled myself when I was in 12th grade. Mm-hmm. I enrolled myself in a school for a medical assistant. And then through all of that, I still had to work part-time jobs because I wanted to help my father.
Yeah, because you were the eldest of the 5 children.
Yes.
So in many ways, I guess you were like a pseudo-parent almost to your siblings?
Yes, I
was. That must have been hard.
It was, because I had to help fix dinners, help them with their homework. Dad had to go to work and day as a teacher, as a music teacher for DC Public Schools. And at night, he was a band leader, playing in nightclubs and bars. And then my brother, who is next to me, he is a musician himself. So he went and worked with Dad when he became of age. And my brother has made a name for himself. He's played with Mesa, with Stanley Clark, George Duke. He's a very busy gentleman. He's still working every night. That's how he earned his living.
So how did you go from, being in the medical field, or at least pursuing that, to ended up in finance?
Well, I found out that I was very sensitive when someone would be sick or even die. I would just be crying. You would think that was one of my relatives. I said, no, this is not for me. I can't deal with this. I need to be somewhere where I can make people happy myself.
I go through that sometimes in news, by the way.
I'm
Yeah.
sure. I'm
Yeah.
sure you do, because you don't report just wonderful news. So then, I said, I'm going to look into going to Montgomery College. While I was there, I found out that I really fell in love with finances. To say I'm going to go towards being a banker. My dad encouraged me on that. And I was working at Pier 7 restaurant, Channel Inn Motel in Southwest. It's no longer there. But the owner, who became my mentor, Manny Fernandez, Cuban born, and he himself had faced some challenges. So anytime he saw a young person trying to improve themselves, he was very much into it. So he recommended me to get a job at a bank where he was a member of the board. And they hired me as a customer service. And while I was there, I said, well, I don't want to stop here. I want to be the manager of this bank.
Yeah, you eventually met
Yes.
that goal.
Yeah.
But along the way, you were second guessed, you were belittled. I understand at times people thought, oh, she must be on the cleaning staff. Certainly she's not managing anything here or
Yeah.
working here for that matter.
Yeah.
How did you press through that?
Well, I have a very strong faith, and that's what helps me to stay motivated. God says you can do all if you just have faith in Him, and He will lead you and guide you. So for me, I studied hard. I went to American Institute of Banking, and then I registered myself at American Bankers Association, who works together at the Adult Education Center at Maryland University. It's a 4-year, very intense course that it teaches you how to start a bank from zero to make it grow. So I was promoted to branch manager. And yes, sometimes I was working after hours. And if I was not wearing my suit, the people there would say, you one of the cleaning people? We need to clean here. You need to, Or if somebody would come in and say, I need to speak to the manager. And they would look at me up and down and would say, you're the manager? I said, yes, I am. And then, of course, that was quickly dismissed when they sat down and talked to me and asked me for advice.
And so you go through that, and then now I know most recently you're in the spirits industry. But from there up until now, you went through so many other personal shortcomings, heartaches, losing your father, raising your son as a single mother, losing
Yes.
everything in a house fire.
Yes.
Any one of those things would have hurt tremendously the average person. You've gone back to back to back, almost like, honestly, when I read your story, I imagined someone in the ring with Muhammad Ali, taking punch after punch after, you know what I mean? Have you ever felt that way?
And it's something funny, I tell you. Sometimes I make jokes with people. I say, I feel like Forrest Gump. I want to take off running.
Yes.
Welcome back.
Yes, run, Forrest, run.
Run.
Run, Forrest, run. You said it's your faith. What are some of your other keys to success and continuing to go on?
My family, my son, and like I said, my father, like you said, my father was my rock. And however, my father was an excellent example for me because he came here, he was a teacher, he was a band leader, he played. So that encouraged me, my family, my son, knowing that I had to provide and be the breadwinner for that. So I kept going in my faith in God through His grace and mercy. And when you surrender all to Him, He takes over.
Wow, and you knew also what your father had sacrificed.
Yes,
And that
I was
kept
not
you
going to let
going.
him down.
Absolutely. So now tell me about this brand that you're pushing and being in this new industry for you.
That's a challenge.
Yeah.
Because it's the national drink of the Dominican Republic, and I'm the president of Semajo LLC. My partner and I went to the Dominican Republic over 3.5 years ago, and then we experiment the drink. I had known about it when I was a teenager because I had a Dominican friend, but my partner never heard of it. So he tasted it and he asked me, can we find this in the US? And I said, no. And he said, well, so we were intrigued. And he said, well, let's do more research and see how we can bring it to the US. Because there are over 10 million visitors to go to the DR, and it's the most visited island in the Caribbean. So out of those, 6.5 million are Americans. They taste it and they come back home, can find it.
There's a market for it. What makes it different from the other drinks out there?
Well, because it started out over 500 years ago by the Taino Indians, and they made it for medicinal purposes.
It infuses marijuana.
No.
Does it?
No. When the Christopher Columbus, when the Spaniards came to the island, they added the rum in the wine.
Got it.
And became one of the first spirits in the Americas. So then the use of it for decades, the Dominicans treat it as still medicinal, and they make their own batches at home, but they consider it medicine and aphrodisiac. They really swear by it. And again, it's their national drink.
What's the name of it?
Mama Juana. Our brand is called Ole Mama Juana. And you can find it in all the liquor stores in DC, in Maryland, in North Carolina. And that itself is so wonderful because we have only been doing this for 6 months. And we are already in Florida, North Carolina, in Maryland, DC. So God's been good to me.
Yeah, the story goes on.
And on,
it goes on, and it gets higher and brighter with each passing day. Maria, thank you so much. For people who want to try the drink, where can they go? Can they order online?
Yes. The website is olemamajuana.com.
All right, thank you so much, and thank you for being a source of inspiration and motivation. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.